Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam.
Hello students, my name is Ishan Shanolikar and today I will be speaking about Perfect Competition Part 2. Let us start with the objectives of this session. So in this session mainly we will try and understand the concept of efficiency in terms of perfect competition. Then we will look at a case study and finally we try to understand in detail the usefulness of studying perfect competition for business administration students. Beginning with efficiency as a concept, particularly in terms of perfect competition. First, let's introduce the concept of efficiency. Efficiency in economics refers to the optimal allocation and utilization of resources to maximize overall welfare in the society. In the context of perfect competition, efficiency is achieved when resources are allocated in a way that no one can be made better off without making someone else worse off. There are two primary types of efficiency in perfect competition. First is allocative efficiency and second is productive efficiency. Let us look at allocative efficiency first. Allocative efficiency occurs when resources are distributed in a manner that reflects consumer preferences. In other words, the goods and services produced are those that consumers value the most. Let us look at the condition for allocative efficiency. So, allocative efficiency is achieved when the price of a good, that is denoted by P, equals the marginal cost denoted by MC of producing it. Mathematically, we can write P is equal to MC, that is price equals marginal cost. At this point, the value consumers place on the last unit of a good produced indicated by the price they are willing to pay is exactly equal to the cost of the resources used to produce it. If we try to imagine the graphical presentation that we learnt in part 1, then in a perfectly competitive market, the demand curve represents the marginal benefit to consumers and the supply curve represents the marginal cost to the producers. Allocative efficiency is achieved at the equilibrium point where demand curve intersects the supply curve, meaning price equals marginal cost. This we have seen from part 1 where we learned the graphs. At this point, consumer surplus, that is the difference between what consumers are willing to pay and what they actually pay, and producer surplus, that is the difference between the price at which producers are willing to sell and the price they actually receive, are maximized. What are the implications of this aspect? So, allocative efficiency ensures that resources are used to produce the goods and services most desired by consumers, maximizing total society's welfare. Any deviation from these points result in the concept that we learned called deadweight loss, where potential gains of trade are fully not realized, leading to a loss of economic efficiency. Let us now move on to productive efficiency. Productive efficiency occurs when firms produce goods and services at lowest possible cost using the best available technology and resources. Productive efficiency is achieved when firms produce at the minimum point on their average cost curve. Mathematically, productive efficiency is realized when we write MC, that is marginal cost, equals to AC, that is average cost, and this happens at the minimum point of the U-shaped average cost curve. If we try to imagine the graphical presentation, then in the long run under perfect competition, firm adjusts the production process to minimize costs. This results in long run equilibrium where each firm produces at the lowest point on its average cost curve. This also we had learned in part 1 with the help of graphs. At this point, no firm can reduce its costs further without sacrificing the quantity or the quantity of output, or let's say the quality. By degrading the quality or reducing the quantity, only this can happen, otherwise this is the optimal point. If we look at the implications of this, then productive efficiency ensures that resources are not wasted in the production process, allowing firms to produce the maximum output at the lowest possible cost. This leads to lower prices all over for consumers and higher levels of output in the market, thus contributing to overall economic welfare. Let us now look at long run efficiency in perfect competition. So, if we talk about long run equilibrium, then the entry and exit of firms in a perfectly competitive markets drive economic profits to zero in the long run. At long run equilibrium, firms produce at the point where price equals both marginal cost and average cost. If we look at the implications of efficiency overall, then allocative efficiency says since price is equal to marginal cost, the market produces the quantity of goods that maximizes society's welfare, reflecting consumers' preferences. Whereas productive efficiency says since firms produce at the minimum point of their average cost curves, resources are used in the most cost effective manner, maximizing output and minimizing costs. So, if we talk about combined efficiency, then in perfect competition both allocative and productive efficiency are achieved simultaneously in the long run. This means that not only are the goods produced at the lowest cost, but they are also produced in quantities that align perfectly with consumer demand, that is representing the preferences. The market reaches a point where the welfare of both consumers and producers is maximized and no further gains in efficiency can be made without altering the market structure, that is you no longer remain in perfect competition. If we talk about another concept called dynamic efficiency, then it can be defined as the ability of an economy or firm to improve its efficiency over time through innovation, investment in new technologies and improvement in processes. Perfect competition and dynamic efficiency, if we try to understand the relation between these, then in the short term or in the short run, perfect competition can drive dynamic efficiency by encouraging firms to innovate and reduce cost to remain competitive. However, in the long run, the lack of economic profits in perfect competition may reduce incentives for firms to invest in research and development, potentially limiting dynamic efficiency. If we look at the implications, then while perfect competition excels in achieving static efficiency, that is the combination of allocative and productive, it may not be the most conducive market structure for fostering innovation and long term growth that may be exponential in nature. Now, looking at the importance of efficiency in perfect competition, then the first aspect is consumer welfare, which is pretty understandable. So, the efficiency in this market ensures that consumers first pay the lowest price possible and the amount of quantities represent consumer preferences, that is whatever they want. This maximizes consumer welfare as consumers get best value for their money. Now, moving to producer welfare. So, firms operate efficiently by minimizing costs and maximizing output, thus leading to sustainable level of profits in the long run. Even though economic profits are zero in the long run, firms cover the opportunity cost, ensuring that they at least remain in business if not grow by a great margin. Looking at economic welfare, the combination of allocative and productive efficiency maximizes the total economic welfare. The resources are used in the most effective way possible, benefiting society as a whole. Concluding this analysis, we can say efficiency can be used as a benchmark. So, perfect competition sets a benchmark for efficiency in other market structures. While no real world market is perfectly competitive, understanding this idea helps economists and business leaders to evaluate the efficiency of actual markets and identify areas of improvement. If we look at the policy implications, then policymakers use the principles of efficiency in perfect competition to design regulation and policies that promote competition and take the market closer to the perfect competition to increase overall welfare in the economy. Now let us move on to the second objective, that is case study. So we will try to understand efficiency in perfect competition looking at a particular case. So let us introduce the case. The goal of this case is to study or illustrate how perfect competition leads to allocative and productive efficiency through a real world example. By analyzing a market closely that resembles to the perfectly competitive structure, we can observe how the theoretical principles of efficiency manifest in practice. So let us talk about the market selected. The wheat market of the United States is often cited as a classic example that is very close approximately to perfect competition. This market involves numerous small scale producers, homogeneous products and price taking behavior, that is no one can influence, thus making it an ideal case for studying this concept of efficiency. The wheat market in the United States has certain following characteristics. First is large number of sellers, that is so many sellers that none of the single sellers can actually go out and influence the price of wheat. Then homogeneous product. So among wheat there won't be a lot of variety where you can distinctly say that this particular product is of a higher quality compared to another. Third is free entry and exit. So as many firms can come up in the market, and as many firms, if they feel they are making a loss or it's not profitable, they can leave very easily. This makes the market to remain competitive. Next is price takers. Farmers are price takers, accepting the market price for wheat as given. The market price is determined by global supply and demand conditions and they can't influence it. Now looking at the allocative efficiency in wheat market. So allocative efficiency once again occurs when the price of good equals marginal cost of producing it. Mathematically P is equal to MC. This ensures that resources are allocated to produce the goods and services that are most valued by the consumers. If we apply this definition to the wheat market, then in the wheat market the price is set by interaction of global supply and demand. Individual farmers adjust their production levels so that the cost of producing the last bushel of wheat equals the market price. The price of wheat reflects its value to consumer, who are willing to pay the price based on their preferences and needs. Farmers, by producing at price equals to marginal cost point, ensure that wheat is produced up to the point where the value of consumers matches the cost of production, that is demand and supply literally match one another and they dictate the price. So what is the outcome? There is maximized welfare. Allocative efficiency is achieved as wheat is produced in quantities that match consumer demand, thus maximizing the welfare of both consumers and producers. Any deviation from this point would result in excess supply or unmet demand, reducing overall welfare, as we have learnt in deadweight loss. Now if we look at productive efficiency in terms of this wheat market. By definition, once again, productive efficiency is the case where the goods are produced at the lowest possible cost, meaning that production takes place at the minimum point of average cost graphically, or price is equal to the minimum point of average cost. Let us look at the application in wheat market. So wheat farmers operate in a highly competitive environment where they must minimize costs to survive. This involves using the most efficient farming techniques, technologies and inputs to produce wheat at the lowest cost. If we look at the concept of economies of scale, then while most wheat farmers are small, they often reach a size where they can fully exploit economies of scale operating at minimum point on their average cost curve. So, what is the outcome? Productive efficiency ensures that wheat is produced at the lowest possible cost, which is reflected in lower prices for consumers. This also means that resources are used efficiently with no waste in the production process. Now, if we move to the dynamic efficiency point and consider in this case, then again dynamic efficiency refers to the ability of an industry or a firm to innovate or improve over time. So, if we apply this to the wheat market, then the wheat market has seen significant technological advancements such as improved seed varieties, better irrigation techniques and more effective machinery. These innovations help farmers reduce costs and improve yields. The competitive nature of the wheat market drives farmers to continuously adapt and adopt new technologies to remain viable. This fosters a certain degree of dynamic efficiency, although the pressure to minimize costs can sometimes limit long-term improvements in innovation. So, if we look at the outcome, then while perfect competition typically focuses on static efficiency, the wheat market also exhibits dynamic efficiency through ongoing improvements in production techniques which help in maintaining productivity and efficiency over long time. So, what are the challenges to efficiency in this particular market of wheat? First is price volatility. The wheat market is subject to significant price fluctuations due to factors like weather, global demand and trade policies. This can disrupt allocative efficiency by causing short-term imbalances between supply and demand. In some cases, government subsidies and support programs for wheat farmers can distort market prices, as we have seen, leading to potential inefficiencies. So, from the session of price floors and price ceilings, we can relate that certain inefficiencies do exist in the market because of policy measures. While these interventions aim to stabilize farmers' income, they can sometimes lead to overproduction or reduced incentive for efficiency. The drive for productive efficiency can sometimes lead to practices that harm the environment, such as overuse of fertilizers or water resources. Balancing efficiency with sustainability is a growing challenge in agriculture. So, if we conclude the analysis of this case, we can say that the wheat market in the United States demonstrates how principles of perfect competition lead to efficient outcomes in terms of resource allocation and cost minimization. While not a perfect example, it does provide valuable insights into the functioning of competitive markets. Understanding efficiency in perfect competition equips business administration students with the tools to analyze market structures and many other aspects. We will see these things in detail in the next point. So, efficiency overall is important for understanding, particularly for business administration students, in order to make effective decisions that are beneficial for society and environment as a whole. Now, let us understand what is the importance, particularly for business administration students, to understand perfect competition market structure and the concept of efficiency in it. So, understanding this market structure is crucial for business administration students, as it lays a foundation for comprehending more complex market dynamics and strategic decision making. So, first is pricing strategy and decision making. So, the main characteristic of this market is price taking behavior. Firms are price takers, meaning they must accept the market price and cannot influence it. This teaches the importance of cost control and efficiency, since they cannot rely on pricing power to maintain profitability. In industries where products are commoditized, such as agriculture or raw materials, understanding how to operate efficiently within the constraints of competitive market is extremely vital. Next aspect is cost management. Since firms in perfect competition earn only normal profits in the long run, business students learn the importance of minimizing costs to sustain operations at an extended period of time. This knowledge would help future managers develop strategies for cost reduction, process improvement and operational efficiency in highly competitive market. Next is market analysis and competitive dynamics. So, if we look at it as a benchmark for other market structures, then perfect competition actually serves as a benchmark to compare other market structures like monopolies, oligopolies and monopolistic competition. Understanding the deviations from perfect competition helps students analyze market power, barriers to entry, pricing strategies and potential inefficiencies that may exist in real world markets. Looking at market efficiency, perfect competition is characterized by both allocative and productive efficiency, that is static efficiency. Business students learn how resources are well allocated in a way that maximizes society's welfare. This understanding is crucial when evaluating the performance of markets and the impact of business decisions on overall economic efficiency. Next is strategic planning and competitive advantage. So, first is identifying the competitive advantage. In a perfectly competitive market, all firms produce identical product. To survive, firms must find ways to differentiate themselves or achieve a greater efficiency. Business students can apply this concept in real markets by identifying and developing competitive advantages such as branding, innovation or superior customer service. Next aspect is understanding market entry and exit. So, this concept of free entry and exit in the market in perfect competition teaches students about the dynamics of market saturation, barriers to entry and the importance of strategic positioning. This knowledge is essential for entrepreneurs and managers when considering new ventures or market expansions, as well as when evaluating the risks associated with staying or existing in the current market. Next point is consumer behavior and demand analysis. So, if we talk about consumer sovereignty, then perfect competition assures consumer preferences are the main aspect that drives the markets as firms respond to consumer demand by adjusting their output. Business students in this particular aspect learn the importance of understanding consumer behavior and demand patterns, which is critical and effective marketing for an overall development of the firm and product development as well. Looking at elasticity of demand, the price elasticity of demand plays a significant role in perfect competition as a very small price change can lead to significant changes in quantity demanded. Understanding elasticity helps students make informed decisions about pricing strategies, especially in markets where price sensitivity is very high. Next is policy and regulatory insights. So, if we look at market regulation, while perfect competition is an idealized market structure, it provides a framework for understanding the role of government regulation and promoting competition and preventing monopolistic practices. Business students can apply the knowledge to advocate for or against certain regulations depending on the impact on market efficiency and business operations. Public policy and welfare, if we understand perfect competition, then it allows students to assess the implication of public policy on market efficiency, consumer welfare and economic equity overall. This is particularly important for those interested in roles related to public policy, economics or CSR, corporate social responsibility. Next is ethical consideration and corporate responsibility. Main aspect is fair competition. Perfect competition promotes the idea of fair competition where no single firm can dominate the market, leading to fairer outcomes or more fair outcomes for consumers and other businesses. Business students learn the importance of ethical practices in maintaining fair competition and avoiding monopolistic or anti-competitive or antitrust behavior. This leads to the concept of CSR, corporate social responsibility. Firms in perfectly competitive market must operate efficiently while also considering the broader impact of their actions on society and the environment particularly. This perspective encourages future business leaders to integrate CSR into their business strategies, balancing profit with social and environmental responsibilities. If we look at the real world applications and limitations, then we can look at the commodities market first. Markets for commodities like wheat, corn and crude oil often resemble perfect competition, where numerous producers offer standardized products. Business students can apply their understanding of perfect competition or the perfectly competitive market structure ideas to analyze the markets, predict market trend and make informed investment decisions. What are the limitations of perfect competition? While perfect competition provides a useful model, it is rarely found in its pure form in the real world. Understanding its limitations helps students critically assess other market structures. This critical thinking is essential for navigating complex markets where imperfections such as monopolies or oligopolies often exists. So, if we conclude this particular analysis, then looking at the foundation of economic analysis, understanding perfect competition is fundamental for business administration students in particular, as it provides the building blocks for analyzing more complex market structures and economic phenomena. They can get strategic insights, where knowledge of perfect competition equips students with the tools to make informed strategic decisions, manage cost effectively and navigate through competitive environments. By studying perfect competition, students gain a holistic understanding of market dynamics, consumer behavior and ethical business practices, along with the role of regulation, all of which is crucial for successful business administration. I hope you understood and enjoyed the session. Thank you so much.